shonga chuji anji podrana toksen sanji kanji gonyet razama shurga muzma stunza parsawe lama namla sorate kirba sanji chua shigdanye nyamba drupa shumla tanda sanjine manere dambe chanso lodo jamso shabla sorate lame josame jamso doje dan shirke kure pama shumla chi shenru zinga kelwe nyuku ye tanta drupa tanjine trupara ho ranzen lame trambe kajela kosme jaro shidro lazo he rale jana nipre tujo toyo irmi jiware shinji lo. Everybody, raise bodhicitta to benefit countless suffering sentient beings. May all beings have happiness and all the causes of happiness. May they be free of suffering and all the causes of suffering. May they never be separated for the great happiness, devoid of suffering. May they forever dwell in the great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. To sacred bodhicitta, the precious and excellent mind, where it is not, may it arise. Where it is, may it never decline, consistently growing, rising higher and higher. Really do the best to raise that wish, that aspiration, that all sentient beings are freed from suffering and its causes. They really have happiness in all its causes, as the aspiration we've just made. And we carry on with these incredible teachings of Togme Zampo. And they really are special teachings. And what they're focusing on again over here is bodhicitta. I'm not too sure how the light is working. I hope it's okay for the recording. And while I'm recording here, there might be a few extra noises. I'm right next to the stupa. And so the sounds coming from outside is the people and sometimes the dogs circumambulating the stupa. It's full moon recording today, so it's always of great benefit to practice, especially full moon, the 30th, the new moon, the 8th and the 10th of the lunar month, and the 25th, and then of course any other special days. So these teachings, the 37 Practices of Bodhisattva, about bodhicitta, about loving kindness. And also remember that the 6 parameters, and very important, is wisdom. So last week, or the last recording, we spoke about in the verse, or should we say verse 2, we spoke about these afflictive emotions. And then today, verse 3 is very similar, is quite similar. So it's talking about going to solitary places, but let me first read the verse 3. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to take to solitary places, avoiding the unwholesome, so that destructive emotions gradually fade away. And, in the absence of distraction, virtuous practice naturally gains strength, whilst, with awareness, clearly focused, we gain conviction in the teachings. And these teachings, it's important that we do your best to recite them, maybe before you go to sleep, once a day, until you really can recite them by heart. I know when I was younger, I was really against doing this. I really didn't like to do recitations by heart. But there's a lot of value in it, actually. Sometimes you can just be doing something and then suddenly the teaching comes to mind, and sometimes often at a very applicable moment. Suddenly we think, oh yes, I remember this teaching. Maybe this is how I should react or act. So we carry on, and also maybe what we can say about these emotions is that all of these emotions, these 5 poisons, all happinesses, observe them. Observe all discriminatory thoughts. And as soon as possible, as soon as you can, have that awareness, and as that awareness arises, that a discriminatory thought arises, liberate it. Sometimes maybe we had those 5 poisons: anger, jealousy, pride, attachment, ignorance. So maybe we use anger. Maybe you're going to start a fight, or somebody else is going to start a fight. First, what do? Recognize those discriminatory thoughts. Recognize this discriminatory thought is arising. This emotion is rising. Don't first go and oppose other people, go fight with other people. Take on a gripe, have a gripe with other people. First, oppose what? You'll first oppose your own afflictive emotions, that anger. Observe. Where did it start? Where did it come from? What was its process? How did it develop? What is going to be the result if I act on it? Who is afflicted? Who is really afflicted? What is this affliction? Ask these questions. Observe your own mind. First, look in instead of looking out. Look at your own faults, not at the faults of others. And then as soon as you recognize this discriminatory source, you watch it. Just watching it, you watch it subside. And once it's subsided, it's already gone. It doesn't have to become an action. You don't have to say something. You don't have to do something. You don't have to play it over and over again in your mind. It's gone. Where is this anger? Where is it gone? What is it actually? So observe, ask these questions. How true is it? How true is its existence? Where does it arise from? Is it all arising from just these discriminatory thoughts? So then we do this. We have a real look. Really practice this. We start to see, where is the enemy actually? Is it externally, or is it within our own mind, our own discriminatory thoughts? Is it our own afflictions that is the great enemy? So where's the real problem? Is the real problem outside, or is the biggest problem within ourselves? So practice this. Really observe this. And today, also, it speaks about awareness in the 4th line. So maybe speak a little bit about this as well. And we can do this not only with anger. I used anger, but we can use the same principle for jealousy. The same principle for pride. The same principle for attachment. And in fact, this is also applying wisdom. From this is actually great wisdom. We can really resolve many of our afflictions. Sounds too easy, doesn't it? Understanding is easy. Practice, still have to practice. So important to practice. So over here, we talk about new places, or going to quiet, solitary places. So for many people, they go to different places. For some people, it's very difficult. It causes a lot of suffering, a lot of unhappiness. They're unhappy, they want to go back home. They never really settle in, so it's very difficult. With that, they take a lot of emotions. Some people go to new places, they're so happy, so joyful, so exciting for quite a while. They forget, for a while, their afflictive emotions are hidden. They don't come to the surface. They have the opportunity to be somebody different. They don't have to play out the role models or the role plays that they did before with the people back at home. So they can be different, but at some stage, these afflictive emotions are going to arise again. Wherever you go, you take your mind with you. You take these afflictions, these worries, these emotions with you. All of these 5 poisons, they follow you. So, for a while, we might not notice them. For a while, they might not arise. But we don't really practice to transform them. Then, sometime, they're going to arise again. Maybe in different circumstances, different conditions, but they will arise. And then how are we going to deal with them? How are we going to transform them? So it's very important that we practice. And practice best to practice not just when there's the hard times. For many people this happens, difficult times, a lot of suffering. So sometimes suffering's a good thing, Sometimes suffering inspires us to look for answers. When we're not suffering, we just carry on normally. Things are okay. Maybe do a little bit of this, a little bit of do that. But when we're really suffering, then we start to look for answers. What is going on? Why is this happening? Why am I suffering so much? What can I do about this? How can I transform it, change it? And so, through suffering, sometimes there's a great blessing. That blessing gives us that impetus, that energy, that motivation to go and look for answers and to practice. So, also though, practice in the good times. This is the best time to practice. Don't just wait until you're suffering. And when you're suffering and things get better, you practice, things get better, you get happier, more relaxed, not so many afflictive emotions. Then what happens? People get lazy, they don't practice anymore. Don't be like this. Practice again and again, like we said, every day, every moment, as best as you can, whenever you can, practice. And this is what is the biggest problem we said was ignorance. This ignorance. Ignorance, it starts with an I. The I in ignorance. It's a very big I in that ignorance. This is the cause of all of the suffering. That we have all of the self-grasping. We see ourselves as independent, as existing, as permanent, existing in ourselves. So, ignorance, how do we resolve this? The cure for ignorance is wisdom. When we have wisdom, when we really practice wisdom, then the ignorance falls away. All the afflictive emotions fall away. Like a tree. If you go and you cut a tree, you cut off the branches, what happens? The branches grow back again. Even if you cut it off at the trunk, that small little branches, small little trunks start to grow again. So if you really want to remove the tree, you have to pull it out by the roots. So this is the same over here. Use wisdom. Wisdom pulls those afflictions out by the roots. The others of the six parameters, they are antidotes to the individual afflictions, but the real one that uproots them all is wisdom. So very important not to forget to practice wisdom. It's very important. So when you pull out the tree by the roots, then the branches die, the roots die, and it's not going to grow again. But to be able to do this, we need to have pith instructions. We need to have the right ways, the right practices. And then, so by going to solitary places, what happens? It helps us to leave these situations, the places, the areas, those people that really cause us a lot of unhappiness, or where these afflictive emotions arise. Not necessarily unhappiness. They might be really nice. They might be really great, but because of this we have so much attachment that we don't practice. So it doesn't mean that the others are bad. It's not saying other people are bad. It's just that saying what the problem is these afflictive emotions. And this is really what we want to transform. Again, remember, don't look at the other people. Don't look at the problem being outside of yourself. Look within. This is what happens. We lust for things. We have anger. We have these knee-jerk reactions at certain places, around certain people. Like we said with drugs before as well. And don't just think, when I spoke about food and I spoke about drugs and alcohol or cigarettes, it's not just these material things. Some of us, we say, look at that person with that problem, but we don't see the problems of ourselves, these habits that we have, such strong habits, these afflictive emotions that we buy into again and again, that manipulate our happiness, that we run after. So it's very important that we learn to observe our mind. With awareness, transform those thoughts, transform those discriminatory thoughts, and change. Otherwise, what happens is we just fall back into these old habits again. Otherwise, what happens is like the computer, we have this old software. We might put in new software, but if we don't reprogram it, we still have the old program, then the computer might just fall back into the old program instead of using the new program. These afflictions will hurt us again and again and again, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So, what do? In general, we don't even see them as a problem. We hold on to them. We don't you think this is strange? the true place, the place that is really causing us all of these troubles, we don't want to transform. We're too lazy to. We don't investigate. What do we do physically? If you have some food poisoning, if you eat something that gives you food poisoning, what are the chances you're going to eat it again? You even smell it and you go, oh, it's going to make you feel funny. You're going to feel maybe a little bit sick, or you'll just maybe even break into a sweat, or you just leave it alone. You don't even want to see that. You don't want to smell it. Or when you're a child and you put your hand on the hot plate and you burn yourself. Wow, you never put your hand on that hot plate again. You always check for the rest of your life almost. You will check to see, is the plate hot before you do anything. So physically, we get hurt. We learn that lesson very, very quickly. But mentally, emotionally, no. Anger hurts us. We go back again. Pride, jealousy hurts us. Attachment hurts us. We go back again. Self-grasping hurts us. What do? We're back for more. Real suckers for punishment sometimes. And what do? These attachments, they're like drinking salt water. You drink, the more you drink, the more you want. And I try, but I can't get no satisfaction, and I try. Isn't it the Rolling Stones? This is what it's like. When we entertain these attachments, we're satisfied for a little while, but then we want more, and then we want more. And what happens? People, their whole life, they get this, then they're looking for something else. And then they get that, then they're looking for something else. Their whole life, they're busy chasing after these desires, these attachments. And then they never rest, they never have peace of mind. Even a stone. You pick up a stone that you like, you see it, you take it home with you, you put it in a special place. It's just a stone. But after a while, you even get attachment to that stone. You start looking, who's taken my stone? What's happened to my stone? Getting upset, worried. Amazing what we can be attached to. Incredible things at what we can be attached to. And everybody's got different attachments. Even look at the great masters, gold, silver, jewels. How much attachment, if we have those, do we have to those? And you look at these great masters, indifferent. To them, what's the difference? It's just a stone. Gold is a stone. Jewels are a stone. In reality, that's the truth. They're just stones. Just that some people have put a great value on it. And it's only because they put that value on it that it has such a great value. Look at diamonds. Man's best friend. Is it man's best friend? Diamonds are forever. Brilliant marketing. And then they marketed it and they said, well, first, many years ago, you should spend at least 1 month's salary on a diamond. For diamonds are forever. For the person that you love so much, it's forever. And then they marketed it for 2 times your salary. So you see, you buy diamonds. What happens? Do they have the same value when you leave the shop? Are diamonds forever? It's just the value we've put on it. People are prepared to pay for it. Somebody just thinks it's a stone, it's got no value. You look, we have these values. There was the story of the Bushmen. And I think what they took them many places in different places in South Africa. When they took them back to where they were living in the desert, they said, if there was one thing that we showed you, everything, the gold, the art, the houses, all of these wonderful things, what would you want the most? And they said, the tap, because from the tap came water. So this is what's valuable to them, not the diamonds and the gold. So, also, our enemies may hurt us. They may hurt us this life, our next life, maybe not. If we treat them well, they'll transform. They might not hurt us as much. They might even come to like us. They might become our friends. But these emotions will hurt us again, as we said, again and again. So we go to quiet places, solitary places. Maybe we go on retreat It gives us the space to change. It gives us a little bit of freedom. When we're really in a quiet place, we're not talking, solitary places, our mind calms down. We don't have all of those distractions. It's like the example with the water. If you shake the water, you don't see its clarity, but when you let it be, then it settles and you see the clarity, the transparency of the water. Problem is, often what happens, we get bored. So we look for something else to do. And it's amazing how the mind gets bored. The example is just movies. How many people enjoy going to movies? What a treat. Maybe once a month or once every 3 months you get a chance to see a movie. Great. What a day out. What a pleasure. But what would happen? You see, the mind gets bored. If somebody had to say, okay, I'll give you a job, I'll pay you. You watch. We watch the movies, and you've got to watch 6, 5 movies every day. How many? 2 hours, 4 movies, 8 hours a day. For a month. This is your job. After a while, will you be so keen to watch movies? Maybe after a month it's okay. After 6 months, your mind might get bored, start looking for something else, thinking, movies aren't so great. I'd rather have something else to entertain me. So it's very important to remember the benefits of practice, the benefits of meditation, of transforming our mind. There's a lot of benefits mentally, a lot of peace, a lot of happiness. We're more effective, we're more efficient, we're happier, the people around us are happier. Generally, we have much more happiness time. How does that happen? We're not so involved in all of these afflictive emotions. But how many people are able to sit quietly, sit happily? And for how long can people sit happily before some distraction comes? Before they need to do this or they need to do that, or they get lost in some kind of daydream, or sometimes not daydream, some kind of fantasy, some kind of nightmare during the day, shouting, I don't know, fighting with somebody. So this is where these practices, they really help us. We go. Maybe you go and retreat, as we said. Go to quiet places. Our mind really gives an opportunity for the mind to settle down. And then we can really progress in practice. So many people say, what, you're going on retreat? What's wrong with this guy? What happens there? Is there a beach over there? Are there mountains? Can you go for walks? Crazy. What's he going to do? Sit there and use up a lot of energy just sitting, observing his mind, using awareness. Guy's crazy. What are people thinking about these days? What are they doing? But people put in a lot of effort to make it possible for people to come and practice, to have the opportunity to practice. And it's really an incredible, great opportunity. You wake up, you do practices, you do meditation, maybe you do some chants or some mantras. You take the 8 precepts. You're not allowed to talk. Your mind becomes... Because you're not talking, really. Talking also causes a lot of problems, a lot of unhappiness. You lose a lot of energy. Lose a lot of energy talking to other people. Because we want to talk. We're thinking about what to say to other people. Often it causes conflicts. Because we think we have to say something, we have to sound interesting. So no talking. Then you do a lot of meditation. And what happens is after 2 or 3 days, the 3rd day maybe, you feel, the 1st, 2nd day, the 3rd day, you feel a little bit uncomfortable, new habits. But on the 4th day, suddenly the body starts to get into this. You wake up early at 4:30, you think, you're crazy. I never wake up at 4 or 4:30. But you're waking up at 4:30, suddenly the body naturally starts to wake up. You're sort of almost half awake when the bell rings to get up to go meditate. It's amazing how quickly the body really can get used to things very quickly. And you get up with enthusiasm. This is important, to do things with enthusiasm. To get up and do it. Don't wait. And then you have all these opportunities. Wonderful teaching sometimes. A lot of guidance. Sometimes there's not much guidance. Sometimes there's just basic instructions. But you hear people about not talking. Generally some people say afterwards, how wonderful. It was so nice. You're still together with other people. You still have a sense of camaraderie or togetherness. And it It was really great. They were so worried about not being able to talk. And then suddenly they're so happy. They said, wow, it was wonderful. Not talking. Great practice. And also, don't always try to please other people. It's very difficult, trying to always to make other people happy. First, be the master of your own mind. You can say to people every now and then, no, sorry, I've got things to do that are very important. And when people become used to that, they start to respect it. Once people know what's going on, then often they get used to it. It's okay. Off you go, very happily. Sometimes the biggest obstacle is within our own mind. We're worried. What do other people think because we're doing this? We don't want them to be unhappy because we're doing this. They'll be okay. And live a simple life. This helps us to live a simple life. It's very important to live a simple life. We don't need all of these attachments. Put into so much effort trying to get more and more and more. Live simply. When you live simply, you have more time, more quiet time, more downtime, more time to practice. When you have a lot of wealth, often what happens, of course, there's been wealthy people, there's been kings that have attained enlightenment. But generally, for most people, it's better to live a simple life, really. Because busy people making money, they're very busy. They're with appointments, how to keep the money, how to make the money, how to save the money, how to protect the money. How to make it, how to insure it. So they're very busy. And so, you see, even in Christianity, I think they say it's more difficult for a rich person to go to heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. This is not because they're against rich people. It's nothing about being against rich people. It's just, to me, the way I understand it is that if you're really wealthy, you're really busy. And so you don't have the time to practice. You're easily distracted. And so if you don't make the practice, it's very difficult to attain enlightenment. So remove those distractions. When you go to solitary places, you remove the phone, you remove the television, you remove the internet. Remove it. So these distractions are gone. The other people around you, they're not there. And then apply the teachings. And then you really start to see, wow, these teachings are really good. They really do work. They really can benefit us. We really can let go of these afflictive emotions. And then, because of this, we have more faith. We think, wow, these practices work. Because they work, we're more willing to practice. We have more faith. With more faith, we practice more. We practice more, we get a better result. Get a better result, we have more faith, so we practice more. So the faith and the result increases, and our mind becomes more and more vast. So you really must try it. It's important that you do it. It's okay to doubt, but don't just doubt and doubt because of what this person says or that person says. If you doubt, go and investigate it. And then you can really say, okay, I really have investigated it and it's a load of rubbish. Or you really investigate it, you really see, wow, this is really true. Let me do more of this. I know I've got answers to many of my problems now. So it's very important that you do this. You need time to do this. Give yourself time. You don't have to spend money, but you do have to invest the time. Needs time. You have to be kind to yourself. If you're not kind to yourself, who's going to be kind to you? And when you do it as well, you really, really have to have a sense of humor. Because there's going to be all sorts of things that happen, unexpected. Sometimes can be really frustrating. But if you've got a sense of humor, oh well, great. As we said in the beginning, two positives. Things are going well, wonderful. Things are not going as we expected. Lots of difficulties maybe, wonderful. The opportunity to learn, to grow in wisdom. Always make sure that you're on the right path. This is very important. Stay on the right path. We have a way to decide, well, I'd rather, I think I'll try this rather, or this sounds better. Then we go off on the wrong road. And then we have to find our way back again. When I was in Spain, I hadn't driven in Spain, right-hand side. I I was with somebody. We went for a drive, went to the shop not far away. Started coming back and went on this one off-road, and the person next to me said, "You sure this is the right way?" And I said, yes, this is the right way. This is okay. A little bit proud, or maybe a little bit obstinate. I'm right. I seem to recognize this way. After 10 minutes, obviously wasn't the right way. So I stopped at the side of the road. Stopped at the side and asked. The Spanish wasn't so good. I mean, their English wasn't so good, but their English was much better than my Spanish. So they said, "No, you carry on down the road this way." Another 10 minutes. So we went another 10 minutes. We asked, no result. Asked somebody, no. Now you're not 8 minutes away. Now you're 20 minutes away. Eventually we were on top of a mountain nearby the beach. Maybe an hour away. We left in the afternoon. Eventually when we got back, it was the evening. The person with me was, rather listen to the instructions in the beginning. Take the right path. Don't waste your time going all over the place. But if you do, find your way back again and carry on the path. You look at these great teachers. They've also spent time in solitude. Some of them have spent many years transforming their afflictions, these discriminatory thoughts, abiding in rigpa. And then you look at them. How at peace are they? How full of love and kindness are they? Full of patience. Any affliction arises, any discriminatory thought arises, right there and then, they're liberated, effortless. They're free of all of these afflictive emotions, free of all of these thoughts and distractions, pulling them this way and that way. Just naturally, they let it go. So it's important the way we practice. It's not also to go away to avoid our problems. It's important that we face our problems. Sometimes, but we just have to find the right circumstances as best as we can. So fear, I think the English derivative of that somewhere I read was to pass through. Makes so much sense. If you pass through, then the fear is gone. There's nothing to be feared about. If you can really practice with awareness, eventually this fear can become your friend. At first we make it our friend so that we can get rid of it. But then it stays. And we get frustrated. Why are you here? I invited you to be a friend, but that means that I also want you to leave very quickly. Is this a true friend? But then when you start to get to recognize, the fear arises, just sit in it. Oh, hello, my old friend. Welcome. And then he says, maybe I don't stay so long. It goes away. We can all transform our fears. Look at people that are scared of heights. They transform them. Scared of spiders. Some people are scared of talking in front of people. But after practice, they get used to it. Eventually, they might even enjoy talking in front of other people. So there's the solitude of where we go. But it's also important, if we go on retreat into solitude, especially long time, that we have the right path instructions. This is very important. Otherwise, we might just waste our time there. And sometimes people come back and their habits have become even worse. Their anger has become even worse. It's bottled down because they haven't had the right path instructions, the right practice. And they look like these Buddhas. I remember Rinpoche telling a story of one monk, he said, came from retreat, he looked like a Buddha, always looking so quietly. But we can find, in true solitude, we can really find this quiet. But what is true solitude? Is really within our own minds, within ourselves, free of these 5 afflictions, these 5 poisons. In the beginning, it's very difficult. But remember, motivate yourself. Look at the benefit. Also looking at the benefit, also think that you're doing this for the benefit of all sentient beings. Isn't this really great? Isn't this something really worthy? And it makes a difference for yourself and for others in the future. So take responsibility. This is your own responsibility. Otherwise, you just practice blindly. Really follow the path instructions. Don't just practice blindly. You have the proper teachings. Go really practice. Practice as best as you can. If you can, go into solitude. Oh yes, this is what I was saying as well. Was about the going into solitude. You must have the right practices. There's some people that come back And he said, he thought this person was like a Buddha. And then one day, this person just started screaming and shouting. He was really angry. All that happened in their practice, they'd suppressed these emotions. And afterwards, he was really scared of this person. So this can happen. Rather, make sure that you get the right birth instructions and then go into long-term practice. This is very important. We have these great teachings from great teachers. And then when that tranquility has a chance to take place, wisdom has a chance to arise, love and kindness and compassion. When we're not full of afflictive emotions, we have the space, openness for other people, full of love and kindness. We have more space for love and kindness and compassion. And then also we don't compete. When we're on our own, we don't compete with other people. We're not jealous of other people. We don't get so angry with other people. We don't have the opportunity. It's very important that we have belief. Belief that when we're practicing, that we, through these teachings, that we can attain enlightenment. And then I think, let's teach to them for today. Sunam daye tamcha tsepanye tupnye nyepe dranam kacheja keka nache balang trupai tsepi tsoli droa sho.